Good morning, everybody. Thanks for having us. As you can see, we are coming very much with a team approach. Please, next slide, Brian. Our team approach is very much driven. We are a diversified, multicultural team. Our team members are really from 4 countries, as you can see, and 6 cultures. And these cultures we are missing is China and Japanese, Asia. We have deep expertise in digital marketing, customer experience, data science. And I think professionally, we know very well financial service. I myself in business for a long time. You can see that probably. FinTech, we have even entrepreneurs here, and we do a lot around IT consulting and digital transformation. Ryan, next slide. What we are building, really, we believe, we have done a lot of research. We talk with community banks, also with non-bank customer, and we come to the conclusion it's important to have some more marketplace in the middle. And so our idea is we will have a marketplace. We call it a not-for-profit marketplace. We believe it will reduce friction and even acquisition cost. And hopefully we have more details later to explain to you by Q&A. We will use publicly available data and artificial intelligence models, but we will very much respect the data protection laws. And as a German, we Germans are more critical in data protection, even in this range. And what I believe, what we really need is we would like to work with regulators like FDIC and others together, especially when you talk about onboarding. Ryan, Afrozi, it's your part now. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. So as Eric talked about, our key product is the marketplace, and the core of the marketplace is really the data. So we started with looking at the data on the unbanked households, and then we built machine learning algorithms that pick up patterns in the data. And what we saw was there are very clear clusters in terms of characteristics of the unbanked that come in. And on one axis, there's income level, education level, but there are also characteristics in terms of urban, suburban, and their individual needs and wants. So what these clusters help us do is understand the problem statements, the needs and wants of these individual segments, so that we are able to use a combination of AI partnership and community influencers to reach out to them in a personalized manner, to onboard them, to have them increase the transactions on the platform, and also to retain them on the marketplace and make sure that their needs are met. So that's really how data comes in together. And if we move on to the next slide, so we start from looking at the data, and here is really giving the faces to the data. And these are the personas that emerge in terms of the personalities of the people who fall in each of these segments. And because we have a lot of data. In fact, in the previous slide, we built like a dashboard that shows the characteristics of these segments, and you can click on the dashboard and see each of the characteristics of the segments and their individual attributes. So now, taking the data of the segments and combining it with user interviews, we are able to build out these profiles of people, the personas of who are the people who belong to each of these segments. What are their needs and wants? And what is it that would help them get on to the banking system, reduce the friction, and help retain them in the banking system? And as you can see, there are various, segments have different needs and wants. What we will do going forward is focus on one segment, which is the second segment, Laura Perez, and show you what the end-to-end onboarding flow and the servicing flow for that segment would look like to ensure that we can get that segment onto the banking system. So I will pass it on to Brian to talk about the onboarding flow.
Brian, unmute.
Thank you. And we're very excited to share with everyone a concept we started just 5 weeks ago called Money Moves. So this is the way we are going to help serve Laura and all of the other personas that were just shown. We're going to start with designing account features that are specifically designed for these unbanked individuals. We'll have targeted ad campaigns to make sure that they get into the platform. And we're going to have a very simple onboarding that shows value. Part of the issue is when we do onboarding, we just show some fields, hope that they fill them in. We're actually going to show them how this product will help them and do that education while we're onboarding them. And then we're going to create this marketplace of community banks that give this even playing field to them, offering these designed account features. And we're also going to connect it with influencers to help push this to them. And then we talked a lot about how we're going to get them in here. But a big aspect of this is also how we're going to keep them in here. And that's where we actually have a really great feature around gamified savings to help them retain their assets and encourage them to save for the future. So we're going to show you a brief prototype. So Laura, for instance, would come in and get this type of messaging. So each of the segments that we've shown have specific types of messaging that they get. And there's a lot of personalization built into the platform. So if you look, we have this aspect here where it's like language armor on your side. Laura cares about account minimums and fees. So we're going to have messaging here saying that there's no ATM fees. We're going to have messaging in here saying that there's no account minimums. And we even found that an account feature would be important with having fee-free overdrafting up to $250. And then we'll have fee transparency around all of that. There's an aspect here for community heroes. So this really shows who in their community can kind of help them. And this is bringing through that influencer aspect we talked before. We have a feature for Laura, which is around powering up credit scores. And then also talking about how we can get free gifts for them for retaining their assets and savings. So this is going into the onboarding. They've hit that show me now. And before we ask for anything of them from their personal info, we have a really quick way they can say what they'd like to do. Once they enter what they'd like to do, they can tell us what they use today. And then using that data, zip code data, and the segmentation information, our AI model can tell them views like that, people who have finances like them, if they use these products, this is how much they could save. And then they can click into educational experiences that really show exactly how that happens. From there, then we start asking for their information. And just like it was said, we have a way for them to enter simply just with their SSN if they have that. But if they don't, we have an alternate experience where they can go enter, let's say a foreign passport. They could enter any other kinds of alternative documents to enter that. So now they're in, and now we can show our marketplace. So we've found a way to really have a marketplace that can show banks at the same rate using kind of peer leverage rating systems to really bring them in. And then the idea behind these banks is that they would have, it's kind of like the Yelp for community banking. They have information about them. They have information for which influencers there. And then there's a product page as well. And in the product page, they would be able to see, what type of specific features are there. So I'm going to move now to say, Laura's opened up this account. And how now do we retain these assets? So that's where our reward system. So instead of just showing an account balance, really want to show them their inflow and outflow every month. So how much are they spending and how much are they saving? But if they end up saving money in their account for more than 30 days, they get a certain amount of points that can then be redeemed for certain prizes. And these prizes use that segmentation data to build prizes that they'll care about. Finally speaking, there's a big aspect of user referrals. So as they get more points, as they get raffle tickets or prizes, and trying to keep them in the experience, then they can actually invite their friends to the marketplace. And if they end up getting a lot of points, we have this aspect to kind of become the hero of your community to encourage other people to bank.
1 minute remaining.
So that's how we are handling things for the smartphone users. Manuel can now tell you about our great opportunities to help people who don't have smartphones.
Thank you very much, Brian. And Money Moves is such an inclusive platform that we did not forget about the 36.3 unbanked households that lack a smartphone. Yes, you heard me right. They do not have a smartphone. So our marketplace is accessible to all. Is this USSD technology proven? Yes. And it has been used for 10 years in the Dominican Republic to bank more than 1.2 million users. This is a simple format for feature phones that will work in all of our features, but with feature phones. I've run out of time. Next slide. So, Money Moves coming to a community bank near you. We believe we can go to market in 120 days. And the most important aspect of our platform is that we are 100% effective and have 100% impact because we can reach 100% of the community. Thank you very much, and we're open for questions.